Hey YouTube, and a very warm welcome back to my channel. It's been a really wicked time of late. Hey YouTube, and a very warm welcome back to my channel. It's been a really wicked time of late. So I know there's been some updates from me where not a lot has happened. Sometimes there's been some more... Ooh, a cat. Sorry, there's a nice black cat out there. I do love cats. If you're a cat person, give me a shout. If you've got a cat and you follow me on Instagram, send me the cat. I love cats. We have two cats. We have Rocket and we have Noodles. Noodles is a fat ginger cat. I shouldn't say fat, that's kind of body shaming, isn't it? Sorry, Noodles. He's just out there. And Rocket is, well, slimline Rocket really, but he does shout a lot. In fact, if you listen closely to some of my videos, you will actually hear him. If you ever come and watch a YouTube video of mine, you hear this random squeak in the background that sounds a bit like someone going, you know, like when balloons get let out, it's like, that's kind of like what he sounds like. In fact, I will put up the whole video of my progress from this week, because I take videos. That's how I take my progress photos. I take them as videos, and then I essentially screenshot the photos I want. Easiest way of doing it. I might even talk you through it as I'm doing it, but if you watch in that video, I'll put the whole thing up, you'll see and you can hear what I'm talking about. Anyway, I digress. I got distracted by a cat out my window. Taking back to what I was saying, awesome block. In today's video, we're going to go through the progress for the block. We're going to go through a roundup of that. We are going to go through a weekend in the life, and I promise my weekends do not always look like this. This was just an especially exciting weekend, and I wanted to share it. I wanted to share a bit more about myself, the things that I enjoy doing when I have the opportunities to do so. I'm also going to go through my check-in and kind of talk you through a bit about the deload that I'm going through next week. I want to remind you guys that I put chapters on these videos, so if you look in the comments section or the information, it's all timestamped. Equally, if you look along that little red bar, I don't know why I'm doing this, because you obviously, there's no red bar in here. However, if I've lined that up right, that'll be excellent. By all means, skip over the bits you don't want to watch. If you're just here to see the check-in parts and learn the bits and bobs that I'm putting in, just skip to that bit. You don't need to watch the whole video. I put them in there to save you time. We're all busy people, right? So let's get to the main points and not waste time. While I'm here, the next thing I want to tell you is that next week I am going to be covering progressive overload. It is my deload week next week, which means I'm going to have a little bit more time to chat to you guys and hopefully talk you through the importance of a deload week in more detail. However, I also want to show you what gets us to that point. So I'm going to talk through progressive overload, I'm going to talk through the mechanisms of progressive overload, and hopefully give you guys some education on that so that you understand why I'm deloading next week, and also the kind of ins and outs of the importance of it, and of course how we get to that point. Without further ado, let's get stuck in. Right folks, it's check-in time. Let's get into this. We're going to go through all the usual bits and bobs. I've got my check-in up in front of me here. The only difference this week is that I've got some progress pictures for you. So we've got essentially the end of week 1 photos, which is the ones that I've shown you guys before. I can't remember if I took them at the end or the middle of week 1. Either way, week 1 photos. Also have my photos from the end of week 5, so the start of the deload week. And yeah, we're going to go through the check-in. So first things first, let's go have a look at these progress photos. Let's see what we can see. Now, I'll pop these up on the screen for you so you can see them as well. These are the shots that I took in week 2. I think it was the end of week 1, start of week 2 I took these. These are the comparisons. So the left-hand photo on your screen is obviously the original one, and then the 2 on the right are my most recent. The circle is there to prevent me getting random messages. Essentially, this is the comparison. I mean, the differences I think speak for themselves, but if you wanted me to point them out, this is where I would go. If you look at the obliques, so just underneath that kind of chest area, into that serratus. You can see I'm starting to get really clear lines into those areas, which is really exciting. The abs are obviously far more defined. My waist has come in a lot. You can see those lines that are coming down into my kind of groin area, which I believe is the inguinal ligament, which you can see there, those kind of V lines. And of course, if you look underneath the chest, that's far more defined. Arms are more defined, shoulders more defined. My legs come in last. That's always the case. So we'll wait for them patiently. Then you can see my back. I took a really terrible first photo here. I'm really annoyed at myself for that, but I can't undo it, so I'm gonna let that go. As you can see, if you look at my waist, it's clearly coming in. The lats are coming more defined in the mid to lower back area. If you look at my lower neck, you can see those lines of that upper trap really coming defined, and you can see my delts, so the shoulder muscles really coming through there, and obviously the triceps and the arms looking far leaner as well. So generally speaking, much leaner through the back as well. And then in this kind of relaxed photo, you can see here, just generally speaking, the abs are coming through and I'm completely relaxed, whereas they weren't beforehand. And then of course, when I do flex them, versus how I flexed them before, much clearer, much more defined lines there, which is fantastic. It's good to see as well, my abs are looking really strong and very, very thick as opposed to flat, because I have been doing a lot of ab work. So this is a really good thing. You can clearly see that that's paid off, which is awesome. So into the usual parts of this check-in then. Was it a normal week? So first things first, did I have a normal working week? Yes, I did. Perfect stuff. Did I go to the gym normally? Yes. Again, we were traveling. This is becoming a very usual thing at the moment, as you can probably tell. But yeah, we were traveling. So I did my 3 sessions at home and I did 2 sessions in Portsmouth there. So I did still do all the sessions, just not in the normal place. And again, answers the question of did I eat at home? I did from Monday to Wednesday, and then for the rest of the week. Actually, were we there Thursday or Friday? I think we were there Friday. So it was Friday, Saturday and Sunday that I was eating not at home. So again, had to kind of guess portions, things like that, but we get through it. Now, in terms of the weight loss from this week, it's really not substantial. It's about ½ pound. Was I concerned about that? Absolutely not. Now, I know myself very, very well. And when I get into week 5, it frequently happens that I'm obviously storing a lot more water. My body is a lot more stressed. As you will see from the later videos where I'm talking about how I'm feeling, I felt very beaten up. So it's a really nice end to the block. I'm just feeling really beaten up today. Like my muscles are very sore up top from my session yesterday. So naturally, I think I was probably storing a lot more water. In fact, I can cheat and tell you I was, because something interesting happens next week, because obviously I'm ahead of you. So I can tell you that that something interesting happens next week, but I won't spoil that. So yeah, overall we've got 5 out of 7 weigh-ins. Again, I take an average of those 4 days as a realistic measurement. Instead of taking all 4, I just take 2 and kind of use them. So 5 from 7, which brings my total loss at this point to £6. Obviously I started at 182.75, so it's actually just over £6, but hardly worth commenting on, which puts me at about 1.2 pounds per week, which is roughly 0.7% per week. I think it's just under. So as you can see, that it's not a plateau by any means, but it is a much flatter line than we've had previously. I'm not disappointed, I'm not frustrated, it is what it is. I was very, very hungry, so that's a good metric to go by, and I hit and ticked all the boxes I know I needed to. Macros wise, nailed all of them. This is becoming a fairly standard thing, to be honest, for me. It's very easy to live this kind of lifestyle now. I put Monday to Friday here because obviously, and actually that's wrong, because Friday I didn't, because I couldn't track everything on Friday. So it was more like Monday to Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, again with the kind of with the guesstimations and just general eating mindfully and kind of eyeballing stuff. Feedback then, sleep. Now, if you wind your minds back, you will remember that it was god awful humid in the UK this week, and my sleep was shocking. My fatigue was very high, I was very, very hungry, and just generally speaking, it just wasn't a fantastic week to have bad night's sleep. I was in week 5, so I was going balls to the wall with my training, and I was suffering for it big time. So sleep was terrible. Energy was okay though, and Generally speaking, my fatigue was really high, but actually when I was rating this at the time, I remember thinking to myself, I still have energy to do stuff. Like I got invited out with some friends to do some water activities and I was really pumped for that. Whereas in previous diets, when I know energy has been low, I'd have been like, I just can't, I don't have the energy to do that. Hunger, it's okay, it's manageable at this point. It's fairly high, but it's manageable. Stress was a bit higher this week. I've got a Project Owl on the go at work at the moment, so I'm working a lot of late nights. So it's a little bit higher. Good stress though, not kind of stress that's kind of worrying me or stress that's like hindering me. And fatigue very high, which is to be expected, obviously, because we're in week 5. Tracking accuracy, as good as it can be, in my opinion. Digestion didn't change. Mood did change. I was a little bit grumpy this week. I just had a couple of episodes where I realised I was dieting again and yeah, may have been a bit moody. But training, absolutely outstanding. Couldn't have been happier with the way I trained. I got some wicked PRs for the block and just, yeah, very, very happy with that and finished really very strong. So comparing the two, tracking accuracy, no different. Digestion, no different. Mood, a bit different. But training still smashing it 100%. Guys, that rounds up this week's check-in. If you've got any questions on the process that I'm going through at the moment, don't forget to pop it in the comments and I will answer all of those. Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the check-in. Let's move on. I'm going to try and describe to you how creatine is so effective in helping us both boost our strength, body composition, athletic performance, gym performance. How does it do that? In the simplest way, we need adenosine triphosphate, also known as ATP, to produce energy. So obviously you know that fats and carbs are what people would say are energy sources, they are substrates, but they aren't the things we use in the muscle tissue that produce energy. So they get broken down and essentially we're left with ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So that's an adenosine molecule, which I'm representing with this cork, and 3 phosphates, which I'm representing with these pegs. Essentially, when that adenosine molecule and its 3 phosphates gets broken apart, so 1 phosphate gets broken off, in the breaking process, you are left with energy. Energy is released as you break that. Now, the issue amongst that is that this turns into adenosine diphosphate. It's an adenosine molecule with 2 phosphate. Creatine helps boost phosphocreatine stores within the body. So when we supplement with that, it boosts our phosphocreatine stores within the body. And phosphocreatine helps us to replenish this from ADP, which is pretty much useless, to ATP again, where it can be then used to be broken down for energy once more. That's a really simple way of looking at it, but essentially creatine helps to replenish our ADP molecules back into ATP so they can be utilised again. How does this help you in performance? Well, if you imagine when you're doing your squats or your deadlifts or, you know, generally lifting in the gym, we use a lot of ATP for that. And so the quicker we can regenerate ATP, so we obviously go ATP, a molecule gets broken off, energy is released, ADP, the quicker we can get this back to ATP so we can use it for energy again, the better. So essentially what creatine does in the most simplest way, in simplest form, is it regenerates our ability to produce energy so much faster. So hopefully what you can see by my example there and talking through how creatine benefits us, hopefully what you can see is that creatine helps to regenerate things, which means we can do more reps, we can do more sets, and fundamentally we can do more volume. Volume obviously equates to muscle growth, so not only does it help us in performance factors like strength and obviously immediate lifting capacity, it also helps us in the long run to grow more muscle, which in turn obviously helps us with body composition. So it is incredibly beneficial to have. Not only that, but there is some research going into cognitive function, things like its effects on Alzheimer's, dementia and things like that at the moment, which I think so far looks quite promising, but obviously more information is going to be needed. The next question then was, can it make you fat? Well, off the back of what I just said, I think it's quite clear that it's going to do the complete opposite. It's going to help us to develop a more muscular physique, a improved body composition, and actually it would therefore seem like a very healthy supplement, right? As opposed to a supplement that makes you fat. So where does that come from? Well, the problem is that a lot of people think that creatine makes you very bloated. Creatine makes you store more water. Well, yes, creatine and water do come together, and we do need to have more fluid in order to have creatine act well. In other words, Creatine will pull water into the cell, which means we need more water in the body, and while the body learns to balance those two things out, we might get some bloating. So yeah, sure, like we're gonna have some more water, we might have some more bloating, but it's just not fat. So we need to be able to apply logic here to understand that what is water and what is fat are very different things, although they may seem very similar. So when the scales do go up, which is quite likely when you start taking creatine, especially if you're loading, which by the way isn't necessary, slip that one in there, you will very likely get an increase of scale weight, but that's just through water. Which brings you on to the next point. It is really important that you hydrate well when taking creatine. It's much more healthy for your kidneys. And of course, if you do have kidney or liver issues, it's a good idea to not take creatine, just to be on the safe side. But generally speaking, it is one of the most researched supplements in the world, and it is incredibly safe from what I can tell from the research. It's one of the safest ones we've got. So it is well worth taking. It's very safe, it's very efficient, and of course it does the job that you want it to. So yeah, hopefully that rounds off the questions, hopefully that makes a lot of sense, and hopefully that has straightened out any myths and given us more fact that, you know, creatine is a very beneficial supplement to take. It can help with our performance, our strength, our body composition, and generally speaking, it would appear health as well. So in my opinion, it's well worth taking. If you wanted to have a bit more information on the thing I dropped in on loading it, people say, you know, you need to load creatine. You actually don't. So your phosphocreatine stores will be loaded after a day or two if you decide to load it, which is basically where you take a very acute large dose of creatine, but that can often come with you know, gastrointestinal distress, where you get things like diarrhea, a lot of bloating, a lot of pain. So in my opinion, it's just not worth it. You're better off just taking 3 to 5 grams every single day, consistently through time, and after a couple of weeks you'll become well saturated, no different to that person who decided to load it, but you wouldn't have got half, if any, of the GI stress that they would have got. So to me, that's a well worth trade-off. I hope this helps. If you've got any more questions, please do pop them in the comments or send them a DM via Instagram. I'll get over to those for you. Thanks ever so much, guys. Cheers.
Hey folks, so it's Saturday the 13th today. I finished my block yesterday, which is awesome, really excited about that. It was a really great block and I'm absolutely chuffed, and I can't wait to show you the results from that. It's about 6:30 in the morning. I'm very tired this morning. We obviously finished my training block yesterday and I've been working quite late recently.